the Chinese companies to come here and build plants to make fertilizer. We sell them fertilizer. Why? Because natural gas is cheap here. So we're allowing them to come in and get plants, and we're giving them tax breaks. Your tax dollars that should be going to schools and roads is going to corporations from China and Russia. And oh, by the way, it didn't start in January. It's been going on for years.
Right.
And what did John Bro and Tozan give us?
Yeah.
They gave us a law that says these oil companies don't have to pay royalties until after they pay off their debt for building the oil well. Well, most of these oil wells are what? Dry by the time they pay the debt off. So what do the people of Louisiana get? We get nothing but a what? An abandoned oil well. That's what they gave us. Two nice guys. But they helped pass that law. Any other question? I
just want to mention, you mentioned the orphan wells. There's a company that's being formed in Lafayette to deal with restoring these orphan wells, and knowing that a lot of these wells have their roots in large companies that are quite profitable today. They've been sold through several hands, but the last one walked away from it. So one of these companies has 2,600 wells in Louisiana, met with DNR 2 weeks ago and said they're folding the companies, all these wells are yours. And a lot of these wells were originally drilled by Shell, Exxon, Texaco, Gulf, you name it. And hopefully, if the state has any guts about it, they'll go to the originators of these wells and ask for a plan to plug and abandon these wells. What happens, a lot of these wells are under pressure, and pressure often in a well regenerates. It might be completely dead, but 20 years later, it's got 3,000 or 4,000 pounds of pressure or more, and everything is rusting and corroding. And when it lets loose, then you got a real problem.
See, the problem there is when the oil prices go down, and the well get at the last 25% of the life cycle. So maybe it was doing 1,000 barrels a day, now it's doing 50. Well, to my cousin Thibodeau and Boudreaux, that's pretty good money. If it's $80 a barrel, right? When you get to $30 a barrel, the state has given an exception and exemption to my brother Thibodeau and Boudreaux that says they can close that well and open it at a later date.
Yeah.
Then all they have to do is go once a year and say, we're still thinking about it. That's what our legislation is. By that time, they might be dead, or they sold it off to somebody else, and the state legislature have created a word for the wells. They call them orphan. How in the heck can a well be orphan? We knew who drilled it. We know every owner up until this point. It's not orphan, it's abandoned. But the state law used the word orphan. And who's this run by the landmen? Who are the landmen? Well, the big companies like the Miami Corporation. Miami Corporation, another name for it is John Deere family. They own 250,000 acres down in Cameron Parish. The Wilbur brothers. Roy Martin. That's the landman. They cut a deal with Jimmer before he left office that basically said, don't change nothing. We like it the way it is. Roy Martin, big landman, big forester. Very proud of that big company he built. He don't pay tax on his forest land until a year he take a tree off of it.
Which you never find out when that is.
And he's self-regulated. Hello. Now, we've got a lot of pockets of pollution I could talk about, but I'm not. This is a problem. We got to change them laws. We got a tax problem in Louisiana. 20% of people own 80% of the land and they don't pay tax. Those big sugar farms, they don't pay all the heavy tax. Hey, it's not personal. I come off a sugar farm. You know, that's a hard life. But not when you got 4,000 acres and your kids living on St. Charles. It's a corporate life. And they're not paying taxes.
Let me tell you how little that tax is. We looked at some oil-producing properties in White Lake. White Lake is a Vermilion Parish. It's the third largest lake in Louisiana. One company owns 27,000 acres in the lake and has 250 wells on that 27,000 acres. Their Vermilion Parish tax, 016, was $2,400. Now, who's being robbed with this?
Our children.
Our children, exactly.
Our public
And
schools.
poor education fills our prisons.
That's right.
And the education is a ladder out of poverty.
Right.
And we, Section 16s, the tax exemption the general's talking about, it's a 10-year exemption, but it goes on forever and ever, because every 10 years, a 3-person commission appointed by the governor approves a new exemption. Sarah has on her property a gas processing plant. It's been there since the 60s. It's still exempt. It's a $1 billion plant on 70 acres. In the front, every 10 years, it's got a new name. But if you walk around to the back, they don't take the signs off. All the signs are there. Every 10 years, you got a new sign. And St. Mary Parish, where this is, has closed 8 schools in the last 3 years.
Yep. It's bad.
That's who's paying. It's our poor people are paying.
Yes.
Well, we've worn our welcome out, but if you got more questions, I'm willing to answer a couple more questions if that's okay. The Sierra Club, I'm at your mercy, so, yes. Any questions? Well, thank you for listening. If you tweeted,